And maybe we should tell everyone, I asked Lola if you could record the audio, so in case I miss something with the minutes. Like, as you notice,
Okay.
I'm wearing headphones because my hearing is so awful. Okay,
All right.
So this
Okay.
is now being recorded.
great.
So we, at our last meeting, we were not able to approve the minutes from the February 11th meeting because we didn't have enough members at that meeting who had been at the February 11th meeting. Everybody remember that?
That's
So,
right.
so we tabled that until it was supposed to be the April meeting. Well, now here we are in the June meeting. So, and I apologize, I don't have a copy of the minutes from February 11th. So I don't know. I mean, I can get that, but I don't know. I mean, if anybody remembers sort of what we even did at that meeting, on whether we can have a vote to, if every, I guess, I'm sorry. The question is, does everybody who's on this Zoom remember being at the February 11th meeting?
I was.
Yeah. And
I think I missed that
moved to,
meeting.
I'm pretty sure I
I
was.
think I missed it.
I could open up, I would have to go into my documents. I have the February minutes. If you guys trust me that I don't lose you. Do you want me
Well,
to
hold
open
on.
them?
I could get them as well. If you just give me 1 second, I can put them up on the
Okay.
screen.
I think we have enough people who are there to just approve the minutes.
I do too.
I don't think we need to read them all. I moved to approve the February minutes.
There we go.
That's when we talked a lot about Route 138 and that woman was there and the town manager came for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I wasn't at that meeting.
And neither was I.
So we have 1, 2, we still only have 3 then.
We got 4, right?
Or Lindsay was there.
I thought she said she
And I
was.
was there.
Oh,
I feel like I wasn't
Wait a
at
minute.
February
If you
11th.
give me a second, I'm gonna open that and I'm probably gonna lose you guys, but I'm
No,
gonna,
no, I got it right here. I
Oh,
can
you-
tell you.
Lindsay, it was when the town manager came to the meeting?
yes.
No, I think my son had the flu. I think that's why I missed it.
Hang on, I'm gonna tell you. Okay, at that meeting was me, Tim, Donna, and Eileen. So there were only,
Okay.
yeah, 3 of us.
Okay.
So I don't know, do those stay in limbo?
Yeah, let's just leave them there for now and move on to the March minutes. We'll figure it
Okay.
out.
So, so Laurel did send out the minutes from the meeting for March. Does anybody have any questions or corrections or comments?
I moved to approve the March minutes.
Second,
All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Okay. I guess there's no correspondence, Laurel? No?
Well, I mean, I none to the board. I have to say, millions of emails, but none specifically that were directed to the board or anything that the board needs to know that's not going to be covered in the other items on the agenda.
All right, then on to the president's report. I just want to say that I've missed you all, have missed our meetings, have missed the library, and almost everyone I talk to of my friends is missing the library. So, and someone I was with today said, such a resource for the community, meaning the library. So I think the community is looking forward to getting back up and running whenever we can, but that's my report.
Is now the appropriate time to talk about actually plans to reopen and?
Well, I think we're going to cover that in item number 6, so let's just
Okay,
move on along.
So let's move to the director's report.
And again, I
yeah,
want to
okay.
defer to everything later in the agenda.
Okay. Laurel, do you
Yes.
want to address the next item, which is Eileen's resignation? You had
Sure,
mentioned
because
that she
some
moved.
might not know, Eileen had to resign. She no longer lives in town, and that is a requirement to be on the board. So she, expressed her regrets. She was very much enjoying being a part of this group, but and we enjoyed her input, but she unfortunately had to move on. The vacancy has been alerted to town council. I encourage you, if you know anybody that might be interested, to ask them to apply. The same process still applies. There's a online form they could fill out, and they would, business is still being conducted as usual regarding that. So, and once, we get, things are so busy and hectic right now. I know it's important to get that member, but I'm gonna have to say, like, I don't have time to promote that like we normally would, but I will as soon as things calm down a little with, getting back to business. So,
Okay.
but I encourage all of you to look around and see, who might be interested.
And that's still like a rolling admission type of thing where they would evaluate it at the town if someone put an application in?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, very good.
Okay. And then I guess the big topic, library COVID-19 response and updates.
Okay. Where do I start?
Maybe I should go get that wine.
How about March? How about March? No, I'm just
Okay, so yes, so since March, and it feels like a year ago, but it's only been a couple of months, we started very slowly, but then quickly had to shut the buildings down, even though staff were still reporting. This was, and Pam, please feel free to jump in here if I'm missing any of the dates. I think it was March 13th where we
13th.
actually closed
Friday.
the public.
Yeah,
And
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
that's right. Who can forget that? So, but in that time, I'm happy to report that nobody was laid off. Everybody, thanks to mostly the great efforts of Pam, was able to conduct remote work from home. We set everybody up with equipment that needed it, and did a lot of continuing education, anything from readers advisory to customer service to homelessness in libraries, like you name it, the staff has gotten a little primer on it at the very least, if not more. So that is what kind of transpired for, well, it's still going on now, but we kept the buildings open, in that we answered the phones, we helped people where we could help them, even if it was telling them to, please sit tight, and answer whatever questions we could. So what transpired, and I don't have a specific date, shortly after that is that we closed the branches, in that the staff did not have to report, because it was just becoming like it was difficult to keep staff there for a time that we could tell the public, yes, call this time, call that time. But at the whole time, we kept Peacedale open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We never stopped doing that. And we had stalwart staff that came in, myself, Pam, some others that came in, manned the phones, Karen, who's in the attendees. Like, we had people that were there, tried and true, until we did move on to be able to start curbside service. And I'm probably skipping a few steps in there, but we started curbside service on June 18th. June?
Or May.
What month? May. Thank you.
May 18th.
Thank you. May 18th. And that was for all 3 locations with varying hours. And that has not changed. We're still doing that. If you don't know the hours, I could tell you right now. Hold Peacedale is Monday through Friday, 11 to 4. And these are the pickup hours. So people could still call and speak to somebody, but not pick up their books. We tried to, you have to be very definitive on what you're telling the public, so people don't get confused, staff don't get overwhelmed. So Peacedale is Monday through Friday, 11 to 4. Kingston is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10:30 to 1, Tuesday, Thursday, 10 to 1, and Hale is 1 to 5, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So
And that's all posted, I'm sure.
it is.
On the
So if you
website.
go
yeah.
to our website, you'll see right as soon as you open it up, it has a nice colorful flyer with a little car on it and some books, and you click on that and it's going to bring you right to a submission form. So,
And can I just say something? Curbside is a heck of a lot more work than people
Oh,
have any idea, because there's a lot, we're talking with patrons that haven't been to the library in months, and some people haven't seen other human beings. So it really is sort of it's almost it's a social service at this point for a lot of people. And I think we're all learning from that. And it creates a very vigorous work environment, which is fulfilling, but nothing moves fast. So I just wanted to add that.
thank
Yeah.
you. And yeah, you're absolutely correct. And we were learning too. We have never done this before. This was something new to us, and we were just trying to do it in the most efficient, easiest way for the amount of staff we had. Because again, most staff is still working at home at this point. So fast forward, very successful so far with the curbside. For just the online form, we've had 178 submissions. And again, this is since May 18th. Pickups at Peacedale since we started has been 353 pickups. So some of those were items that have been sitting on the hold shelf since March. And some of them were once the network started to slowly open back up to let people place their own holds. That was the, some of the extras. So, and let's see, Kingston, 65 pickups, and Hale, 25 pickups. So people are using the service. I think it's been successful. And I think we're going to continue it, even as we slowly try to get back to some normal business of people being able to come in. I think we need to keep it for a little while, only because there's going to be some people that still don't want to come in the building, and they don't feel quite comfortable yet.
So can I just ask, just the logistics of that? You're saying not
any questions
in not coming in the building. So that are they contacting you that they're there and someone's coming out with their books? Okay.
Yeah.
So these are like online orders or call-ins, right?
Correct.
I've been using it. It's great.
Yeah,
It has
great.
saved, because I'm tired of e-books. I want a book.
Yep.
So it's
yep.
been wonderful. Yeah.
I'm selfishly asking because I ordered a couple books and one's in, and so I need to know like how to get it. But
And I just wanted to mention something too that we have to think about going forward. And I think I mentioned this to you, Laurel, that once we reopen, that a lot of people that have items on hold, that they're going to have to use curbside. So it's not only going to be people requesting stuff remotely, it's going to be that they've already requested them, maybe someplace else or from home, but they're coming in.
Right.
So it's really bigger. It's hard to paint a picture of what it is,
Yep.
It is. And we did come up with a very, I think, good system. We bagged we checked the books out, we bag them up. When they get to the parking lots, they call, we run them out, we put them in a designated area that's marked with the appropriate distancing and signage, where your face coverings, and then, we walk back in the building and they get it, and I think pretty much everybody's been very respectful. You do see a few people that don't have a mask on, but I think you see that everywhere. So
Laura, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
And of you and Pam, the curbside, running the books out and then coming back in, is that something that could be done by volunteers? People who are looking for maybe, no?
Because then they'd have to go
of
in the
course it
building.
physically could, but please keep in mind, more people means more exposure, if you will. Like right now, we're doing screenings for all the staff members that report.
Mhm.
We have to take their temperatures. We have to ask a list of questions. So I would be hesitant to bring any new people into that mix.
Okay.
Excellent suggestion, but I just don't,
Oh,
I think it's just adding a little more uncertainty to a situation that's a little
Yeah,
uncertain to begin with.
it seems to me that over the long term, people are going to be reluctant to go into these buildings for a long time. What's the long-term plan here? I mean, is there any way you have that nice little area at Peacedale? You know, maybe we could build that out into a drive-through kind of thing where you could just.
Wouldn't that, yeah, that did cross my mind. That is a long term, and you know, that could be, who knows, a Champlain request or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I mean, we don't know.
That is a nice idea.
It
Can I
is.
just say before we move on, kudos to you guys. I totally
Yeah.
want to get to Mario's question, but I just want to say, like, with everything that you guys have done, I think we all feel this way. You guys have worked so hard. You turned on a dime. You were so successful in the things you've been doing. You kept everybody safe. You like followed all the rules you need to follow. And you're still, I just love that you guys were doing continuing education with all of the staff. I think that's amazing. Like, you have this period of time where you don't have time to you have so much time to get stuff done. You don't even know what to do with yourself. And I think that's just awesome and excellent, and stuff you don't have time for, you made time for. So I just want to say kudos.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Well,
And I do want to add, I've noticed that you've been doing a lot of programming online, and I want to congratulate you on that too, with all age groups.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was, and it still is a learning curve, and it's not going to quite change yet, but we're looking forward to, you know, those baby steps that we could take right now. So our next, sure.
I need to just interrupt you because I just want to add on to what Lindsay said and Donna said. There's an amazing leader right there. She's been wonderful to work with and very thoughtful and considerate of every staff member. So,
Bravo.
I don't know if every library is fortunate to have somebody like that. So I'm appreciative of it.
Great,
I
Pam.
have a question.
Thank
When the books come in and out, Laurel and Pam, so for instance, when I return, like I have a book here I'm going to return and I'm going to put it in your slot. What do you guys have to do with it? Does it have to be decontaminated?
Well, yes, right away we started with that. So back in the, March 13th, we set up the meeting room. We overtook that meeting room to make it a quarantine area. So staff was getting the books out of the book drop, is still getting the books out of the book drop with gloves on. And then the books go down into that area and they sit for a while.
Minimum of 3 days, right? Minimum of 3 days.
A minimum of 3 days. When this first started, there were, it stays on everything for 9 days, and then now it's 3 days. Now it's low risk. So I mean, there's always, it just keeps changing. But we are letting, if it sits, it sits. Things are still not due until July 1st anyway. So it's not like, the network is not charging fines for, anything that has transpired in this time period. But yeah, we sit on them for a little while. And then the stuff that's coming now because they stopped transit between all libraries for quite a bit of time. They just opened that back up probably about 2 weeks ago, and in a very limited basis. So that's just more time that it's not being handled or potentially contaminated. But the last word I got was that it is really a low risk. And if staff, if it does have a little bit of rest time, and if staff are either wearing gloves or washing their hands, I mean, those are the biggest preventers of spreading this period.
Right.
So, and staff are very good and very diligent. We wipe our stations down with bleach and bleach wipes and pens and phones. So, or we just try to, when we can, stay at a dedicated station. We do have some shared stations, which are wiped down between uses, and we wash our hands a lot. So, but that's a good question. But we do.
Meaning that just adds to this. This
Right.
adds to the craziness of putting books outside and people calling you on the phone, which I'm one of them. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I agree, Mario. People aren't going to want to go back in, but I just can't see this lasting for years.
No,
I mean,
and it's not gonna. So I'll move on to
Okay.
another update. Is that we hope, I'm going to make the recommendation to open Peacedale on a limited capacity basis starting June 29th. So we would continue the curbside for those folks that aren't ready to come back in. But what we would do is make, and we've moved, you guys are all familiar, we had those beautiful bank of 16 computers, are now 4 computers, very spaced apart. All that beautiful furniture from Champlin is being tucked away. So, it doesn't encourage people to sit and stay too long, because the goal right now is just to be able to have people come in and use a service that some people are very missing. They call us, when you're going to open, I need to use a computer. They don't have home internet access. They don't have, some of the luxuries that we're used to, and they miss us. So for that purpose. So the hope is, and my recommendation will probably be going tomorrow, is to do that type of, and again, a slow rollout. We're not trying to send out bells, because we're learning as we do this. So to kind of put it out there too hard and too fast is going to make things more difficult on the staff. But the plan is the capacity, and I had the fire marshal come in and look around and, kind of confirm what I was thinking, is that a total right now, and this excludes the children's room, where I'm not ready for the children's room yet. I want to start with one area at a time. And that area is the adult area, because that seems to be the most, popular, whether it's computers or popular fiction. So the goal, I lost my train of thought. So yes, so excluding the children's room, it would be 15 people, and this does not include staff, 15 people total in the building. Now that means in certain areas, and it looks like a whole different place without all the chairs and tables in there, so that is a factor to consider. But it might mean in that room, well, it does mean in that room where the new books are, you could only have 3 people. So it's going to be something that staff have to monitor. We're trying to set it up so there is and we will set it up, I should say, where there's a workflow where people are coming in the main entrance that you all are used to. They're coming upstairs, they're either going to use a computer or going down to look at some books, and then check out near our beautiful refurbished front doors, and out they go that way. So we're trying to make it the easiest workflow, the safest workflow. We'll have all the wonderful things that we're all getting used to, markings on the floor and signage, and all those things are going to be in place before we do anything.
Somebody at the door
A greeter at
monitoring
the
the
door.
people coming in.
Yep. So we'll have
Keep the number at 15.
yeah. Well, we'll have. This is where it gets a little more tricky, and we gotta kind of test and practice. But I am trying to set up a system where, amongst that 15 people, we have enough for, let's say, 5 walk-ins. But then I'm working to create an online reservation pass, so to speak, where somebody could book a pass to come browse for 30 minutes. They could book a pass to come use the computer for an hour.
Ooh.
So we know that,
Yeah.
you know,
Good idea.
from 10 to 10:30, you know, 5 people can do this, 5 people can do this, and 5 people can do that. Like it should, it should work out that we'll never have more people than computers, or have the staff be overwhelmed where they're not sure who's doing what, kind of thing.
Laurel,
That's a good idea.
excuse me.
And with, go ahead.
Just a quick question. When you say the online reservation for computers, so if you don't have a computer, obviously you can't do that. Would you
Right,
consider doing a telephone as well to reserve?
exactly. It will work much like the curbside. So if somebody wants to call and say, hey, I'd like to book for this time, staff could go click, 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 and they book it. So it you know, there'll be multiple ways for people to be able to take advantage of it. And if they can't, if there's going to be some, you know, folks that just, oh, I'm going to go to the library and, you know, just go in, you know, hopefully, you know, we're not at that max capacity, but if we are, then we'll have markings so people can line up, and if one goes out, one comes in, kind of thing. So, but yes, you know, we're trying to make it, the goal is to be as equitable as possible, to not alienate anybody, and to not stress staff. That is the goal.
Yeah, it's like you want it to be more of a resource center than a gathering place
Right,
for the
yeah.
current time. Yeah, I think the booking is good. It'll also give you some metrics to give you an idea of, like, you know, how many people are interested, how many people are trying to sign up, how many people are on the wait list for this. Like, are we making enough time? Do we need to make the slots smaller? All that stuff.
Exactly.
Do we need to be open more hours? Is that a possibility with our staff? All that.
Very good point, Lindsay. That is a part of the whole thinking of this. Is, as I mentioned, we don't have all our staff, and this is going to put more of a stress, if you will, on staff. So I want to make sure that we have enough staff to be able to handle what's coming our way, and we'll see.
So you said
we're gonna try it probably a week before, and much like we did with curbside. Before we even rolled out that curbside, I had staff sending me like silly requests, like send me a request. I don't care what you want. Make it funny. And that helped to develop, like, well, we tweak it here, we tweak it there. So I think it could work. I think it's gonna take some tweaking, but that is the start to what we hope will, you know, grow into, you know,
and that's
more
only
access.
Peacedale, you said.
Just Peacedale right now.
Can you pull, I know you're doing curbside hours with the other 2 library branches, but can you pull staff from the other branches if you need? Or
yes,
Okay.
that is definitely on the table. They have their hands full too. So I mean, I don't want to take that away from the branches at all.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that all our youth librarians are still planning summer programs, whether they're virtually or take-home stuff. They're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to create lists and different things that kids could access and still, maintain that during the summer reading.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, everybody's all virtual out. So I think, hopefully we'll be able to do some outdoor programming and utilize that. But right now the limit gathering's 15. So
So Laurel, you said you're going to recommend this for June 29th. Does this have to go to the Ocean State Libraries or to the Rhode Island reopening?
nope, this go to the town.
To the
just to
town.
make sure that,
Okay.
they actually have buildings opening on the 15th, like I think, don't quote me on that.
So how did you come up with the 15 number?
The,
Why 15? Why isn't it 10? or
ours is the
20?
29th.
No.
Oh,
Why is it
it's the
15
government. It's
people?
Oh,
FEMA.
that just for the space. So there is a
There's a
standard.
formula, yeah.
It is. It's 100 and one person for every 150 square feet.
And that includes staff?
No, we're not including staff in that.
So normally you have what, 5 to 10 people in the building?
Well, depends. Not now. Well, now we're getting back to that.
You mean
Um,
working, like staff? Is that what you mean, Tim? How many staff members in the building?
Yeah, how many
Yeah.
total people will be in the building? 15 users and,
This figure does not need to include staff.
okay,
So,
just curious.
but we are, as you bring that up, we do. We're making sure that right now, that's why we don't have all the staff coming back, because we don't want staff on top of each other. If they're working in close spaces, it's better to have one staff in, one staff out. So we still have to figure out the best way to do that. But that 15 number is not affected by the amount of staff in the building.
So all the libraries in Rhode Island are working towards doing this in the near future?
Yes, some are doing it. I think
Oh.
I think there's 2, but not this way necessarily. I think there's 2 that are doing it by appointment, where people call and they're not necessarily using a tracking system or anything like that. I know that Cranston, I believe, is shooting for the 15th.
And Warwick
I
was,
didn't feel we'd be ready by the 15th.
That's next week, right? That's next week, right? Laurel, if you need any, Hillary mentioned volunteers. If you need any dummies, I would happy to put in a request. You want me to come over? You know what I mean? If you
Excellent.
need-
Yeah, I might do that.
Good idea.
Like I would come in the building and get a book, probably wear a mask. Oh, and that's the other thing. So people have to wear a mask the whole time they're in there, Laurel?
Yeah.
The patrons? Okay,
We're
good.
supposed to.
And the staff, right. So I would think you'd prefer it that as long as I have my mask on, I got an email that a book was there for me. You'd rather me come in and get it, because as long as there are less than 15 people. Because
Right.
it saves someone having to walk outside. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, and that's one of the little kinks I'm trying to work out. So there are going to be those cases where somebody wants to just come in and do a quick pickup. So it might be easier for us to run it out.
Okay, so
or
you'll have to
maybe-
figure that out.
Right, or maybe trying to come up with some type of express line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like, I'm just wondering, do you need are you envisioning a line outside of the library that develops as people are waiting to get in? And then what's the time frame with how
Well,
long people are in there?
I think she just said that we should do a reservation system.
Right, that's the point of the half-hour browsing and the hour computer, because it will hopefully create a workflow where nobody's going to be sitting
So no one would have to be in line. I see.
for long amounts of time. Unfortunately, we're not going to have any newspapers available to peruse. It is going to be a very come in and get what you want kind of service.
There will definitely
Figured-
be people that don't get the memo on that and will just show up.
Of
Right,
course,
of
and that's,
course.
You know.
that's the whole purpose of that walk-in. And it will be an opportunity, as hard as sometimes it is, for us to educate the staff on the best way to do it.
Yeah,
You know.
enforcement I think is going to be the biggest thing
Yeah,
that you're going to have to be managing, which is hard.
Right.
I agree.
You know, for your staff.
I agree.
And it's also the way that you say things, even when people, well, that's what you're saying. When people call now or you're closed, I try not to say that we're closed. I try to say that our service is different,
Mhm.
and I know people can read between the lines, but in a positive way, I think it diffuses some individuals that may jump right on,
Mhm.
being closed.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and we are definitely going to have some issues, and that's
Right.
the
Yeah.
Have you-
individual.
have you
Like,
had-
it's not necessarily our system, it's the individual.
Have you had issues with people who are mad that you're closed?
We've had some calls that have been less than positive, but I think everybody's on edge. I don't think it's directed necessarily at us. It's just on edge.
Well, and it's not nonstop
angry.
either. I think people understand for the most part,
Yeah.
All right.
I
But
think that
for
the-
like
the
90% of
computers-
the calls are, yay, thank you, miss you,
Right.
thank you. And so I
Yeah.
think, overall, we're getting a thumbs up, and hopefully that continues.
Yeah, I think if over time, if you could add in like an express flow or people are just coming to like pick up stuff they ordered online or like called for holds, that would be great. That I like that workflow that you're planning, in one door, out another. I think that's an awesome idea.
Well, that gets back to what I talked about before, some kind of a drive-through window or even just a window.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea long-term anyways.
I agree.
Yeah, there are some things that are changing that are not going to go back, and maybe that would be one of them that would be a benefit to patrons.
Well, even Narragansett, I think I told you, Laurel, I got a few books from Narragansett. I called because I saw they had them in their branch, and they were doing this pretty quick after the shutdown. They put a cart out in front of their front door, and each book was in like a plastic wrap with your name on it, and you went over and picked it up. And I'm sure it was only from 10 to 2. And obviously, if you didn't pick up your book, it went back in, or if it was raining, they didn't do it, even though they were in plastic. But still, I thought that was good. I don't know if they're
No
still
one was
doing it.
checking?
I'm sorry, Donna.
Oh, no, I was saying no one was
Yeah.
checking? You just went and picked it up?
No, nobody was there. Well, because I'd already called in and they checked it out to me. It had the
Your
slip
name is
in
on
with
it.
my name on it. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So other people could see your book with your name. That's not
yes.
right.
Right. I don't know if they're still doing it, but I got a bunch of books that way. So,
No.
It sounds like they were doing that on the honor system almost.
well, of course, because then you think, I hate to say it, people could steal the books too. I mean, if people are roaming around past the Narragansett Library. Anyways, that's just, you're talking about Express and the drive-through. I think drive-through is great, Mario. That's a great idea. I mean, that would be a huge construction project there.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even have to be drive-through. As long as you had a window where people could walk up to it.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be drive-through. It could be simpler.
Like a little
Young
toll
moms with
booth.
little kids love drive-throughs of anything.
Well, but that's a construction project and maybe
Right.
well, it's all a
Somebody
construction
could, somebody could
One
build
is
like a
small.
little hut, like, remember the old
Yeah.
Kodak, the little
Oh, the
film?
photo map.
Yeah.
Book, and you just have one person
Peacock.
sitting there for a couple of hours and call it a day. So that's,
Yeah, okay.
a little
Anyway.
Pam has been giving reference service through the window.
I have. And it's actually, it's kind of fun. And people are very appreciative. So,
Is there
Right.
anything else? Is there anything else, Laurel, as regards the curbside service or the updates?
I have one other question, Laurel. Are
Sure.
you going to be putting plastic, like you see in some stores, plastic dividers between the library counter? So Not that I want to know any details, but you've got all of that kind of coming too. Huh?
We have them. We are going to be putting, they're just the portable ones. And we'll be putting them at all points of service. So
And
at the check-in.
Where's the money coming from for this?
Well, we had money in our budget, but also we have been collecting anything that, well, reporting anything that we have spent COVID related, and hopefully we'll see something from REMA. OLIS is also going to be, which is the Office of Library and Information Science, is going to be putting out mini grants that help offset and will reimburse for anything that is expended for COVID related that, you know, justifiably. So right now, we're good. Could we maintain this indefinitely to keep buying gloves and wipes?
Yeah, right.
All that.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother story. I mean, we're wrapping up our fiscal year, and quite honestly, with the way things transpired, we spent less money. Really, you know, whether it was some staff did not participate in the remote learning. So if you didn't participate, you didn't get paid. You had the opportunity to participate, and if you wanted to get paid, that's what you were going to do. There was some staff that opted out of that.
Okay, so obviously it costs you less to heat the building, and so you have some savings with all of that.
Yeah.
Now the fiscal year ends, is it
June 30th.
June 30th?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is the right time to ask that question, but I'm worried about the town's budget and what they're going to do to you next year.
Yeah, not the right time, because I don't know either. I can't even speculate. You know, our budget's fine for the next year. It's been approved. I know they have this referendum. I don't see it taking a big chunk out of the library hide. It's on the municipal side, it's $300,000. I don't, if it gets passed, I don't see that affecting our budget as presented, what you've already seen. I do not see that being touched. I don't know what's going to transpire in the months to come, you know, once the new fiscal year gets rolling. But right now, we should be fine.
Okay, good.
Hey, Laurel, if so June 29th is before our next meeting. So if you guys open, can you just send an email to us so we all know that you're open? Yeah, thanks.
So if you open by the 29th, that means our next meeting will probably be right there in Peacedale.
Right. So I wasn't I was in a meeting and I had to leave for another meeting, but I think it has been declared that if you have a small enough group, you have the appropriate enough space, you can meet in person. So I don't know how you all feel about that. I am very happy to meet in person.
I'd rather do it this way.
Can we?
You'd rather do it this way, Mario?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, sorry, but
that's okay.
I have children and grandchildren and a wife. You know, I really would prefer this.
Okay. Well, it also, I think even if we did meet in person, we'd still have to have some type of virtual component for the people who could not attend and don't feel comfortable attend. So it could be a hybrid. I
would propose that for next month's meeting we do this again.
Okay.
And just see. Let's wait. Let's just see what happens, because things are changing. Things are getting better, thank God. But for another month, it worked, right?
I'm happy with it.
Once Liz figured it out. So meet in July. We're going to meet in July by Zoom.
Yeah.
We said we're going to have a July meeting. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with Mario. I think it makes sense to do this. And I think going forward, I think there's, again, benefits of this. Some of the stuff that we're just not going to let go, we're going to continue to do. I think about my kids and how busy my life is on a usual basis. And I feel like I could zoom in for things that would actually be really helpful to me on the days that like I'm really struggling to get there, and you know, have my kids in the library like hungry and all that stuff. So but I think under the circumstances with COVID, it makes sense in July at least. And then there's supposedly going to be a resurge in the fall. So I mean, who knows what's going to happen with all that? Nobody does. But
I mean, there's no stipulation that the meeting has to be in person, is there? And that, so, you know, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, I think it works just as well. And
agreed.
And to say, you know, at least for the time being, keep, you know, it might go a long way just to keeping everybody comfortable.
Okay, whatever you guys want to do. I'm not one way or another.
We miss
And in
seeing
the-
your face though, like
And
in person.
and in the winter time when the weather isn't too great, this is good too.
Right.
True.
Yeah, agreed.
So maybe for the next agenda, I will put that on there so we could discuss it, what we want to do.
Yep. Sounds
moving
good.
forward, because I, you know, obviously have to post, you know, with notice and all that. So any future meetings. So I will put that on the next agenda for discussion.
Okay. Can we go to the next item?
You
Which
bet.
is Champlin request?
Okay, so yes, right down to the wire for the deadline. We got that in. The request is for, and I might have mentioned this at a previous meeting, a new roof for Hale, some technology upgrades for Kingston and Peacedale for our meeting rooms to help us do more of this type of streaming or alternative service connections. I think I mentioned, you know, we would be purchasing smart TVs that would have the potential to allow us to stream or to broadcast events at one place to another, to broaden our audience,
That's
type of
awesome.
thing. So, you know, better sound. And then finally, for all three branches, an electronic access system, which would be like a fob badge system for employees. Again, like this is funny because these things have become more apparent as this COVID thing has gone on, that, you know, what we monitor, what we need. So I think that will be probably a good sell, that, you know, seeing staff coming and going security wise, that would be a good choice. So we'll see. We won't find out till November. The total amount of the grant is like 51,600 and something. I don't have the exact figure, but I think they're all doable. We'll see.
Okay. Good.
Okay. Number 9, future programming.
What did I have in mind? I think that was to talk about stuff like the outdoor programming or alternative programming. I don't know if you guys have any questions. Again, we're just trying to get our feet under us with our basic services, but I think we have to, and maybe it's, you know, something to go away from the meeting thinking about, is what is the new way that we can give the same, not the same, but that type of service to our patrons. So where it's entertainment, the educational, the lectures, the, you know, do we want to focus more on this type of virtual programming, or maybe ride it out a little and see if we get back to where we could be with our regular programming. I know, I will say, especially the youth services librarians are heartbroken. They're heartbroken they can't do what they normally do. So,
Good thing we did that Alzheimer in the fall, Tim.
right?
You couldn't have all those people
I know.
with that you got that came to the Alzheimer
Yeah.
lectures.
Right. So, and so it's
It's going
just
to be
kind
a
of
long
looking.
time. Yeah.
It's just kind of looking at a new, I hate using this phrase, but a new normal of
Right.
what
True,
we
though.
can do and
Yeah,
do.
It's like thinking outside the box a little bit too,
Right.
right? I mean, how can we provide services that we haven't even thought of maybe because
Right.
we haven't been in this situation before? Like, what do
That's
people
right.
need? My husband does this startup, and he's like, he's been trying to like think how they can change in the startup and really like maximize efforts in these areas that we hadn't really thought about before.
Right.
So,
More
It's
like an
hard.
opportunity.
Mhm.
right. So the positives of it, right?
That's
Like, and
right.
some of the things, like I was saying, some of the things that have changed that like
Right.
are they're gonna stay because they make sense. Like, I mean, will we ever have a snow day again with school? Because we
Right.
know we can Zoom meeting, and
Right.
you know, so maybe we won't. You know, I
Right.
don't know, things like that. That
Well, I will say our book clubs talk about adaptable. Our adult librarians have been holding their book clubs on Zoom, and it's been
That's great.
successful.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
How about YouTube for story hours and those kind of things? Things I could go, I'm doing those a lot for arts programs. I'm watching concerts in Europe and everything
Yep.
on YouTube.
Yep. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. That reminds me, the town is developing their own channel that, you know, we would have to be under. So that's definitely, that's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It's
Right,
thinking
right.
about, you know, what can we do that's different, but still the same a little. I guess.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Well, and you could, you know, youth, you could get into that too, like youth book clubs probably, and then like, I don't know, just the engagement that's happening with the youth librarians with some of those kids and starting like chat rooms or I don't know, you know, whatever they're focusing on or their subjects are that they're, you know, feel like they're doing good work with.
Right. I agree. I mean, the one kind of drawback is that, especially with the book clubs that I've heard, is that, you know, anything over a certain number is not going to be manageable
Yep.
for a good discussion or for, you know, a
9 seems to be the magic number.
Yeah, I was gonna say more than this
Right.
here, then you're sweeping
Right.
and yeah.
And not everybody would get the same experience. So.
Yep. Yep.
But we're trying, and there's, I gotta say, the staff has been just amazing.
All right. So then the final, not the final,
Like
but
you are.
next to the final is the oh boy. And Tim, you wanted to discuss this a little bit, the crosswalk up in Kingston over Route 138, the Kingston
Yeah.
Free Library.
Well, the last we left it, we had drafted a letter to the DOT, gathered a lot of supporters who agreed to have their names on the letter, but then COVID hit, and so the letter, I guess, never went out. So my question is, even though it may be a lost cause, is there anything that we could do even to try to get the DOT, as I think Elizabeth has suggested, to paint stripes on the crosswalk that's there, something that might make it a little safer and hopefully keep the improvements for the crossing system, you know, on their minds. But Laurel, before we get into further discussion about that, what did you ever hear anything back from Ken Burke and URI and where they stand on that?
I did not, and I suspect a lot of things just kind of went wayside when this all happened, and then now President Dooley is no longer, or
He's retiring.
He's
But he's going to
retired.
be there for another year. He's
Another year.
spending here there.
But I did hear from, because now I've forgotten his name, I think it might have been Ken, who pretty much told me, because this said, right, anyway, pretty much told me that their focus was on their students. And again, this was at the beginning.
Yeah,
Their focus was on their student safety, and pretty much the inference was, it's going to be a long time before we even consider, before we even get back to you. So he was kind of, and I don't blame him. I mean, they had bigger issues, I think, in their mind than the crosswalk. So that was the last I heard from anybody at URI.
I would be curious because I was under the impression that they were, when we talked to him way back, they were going to be starting their big old streetscapes program now, like in May. So I haven't seen anything going down. I think a lot of things are on hold. That does not mean that we cannot approach the DOT again. I guess it couldn't hurt. I don't know. No, maybe a different type of letter just to get some. It seems to me that repainting the stripes wouldn't be that hard.
Seems like such a simple.
It does,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
I'll do it if they give
Some
me a
dark
buck.
clothes,
I know,
midnight,
really.
bucket of
I'll go
paint.
out there. I'll get my boys out there.
On
Spray
June
paint.
15th, they're going to be.
We'll be like smiley
starting sewer work.
faces.
Black hat
Good.
on.
And they're going to from Fortin Road to all the way to Flag Road, be digging it up to put in new sewer lines and all. So if
Okay.
you're in that area from June 15th to August 15th, you may find a whole lot of construction going on. They do have to leave enough space for the fire trucks to get through though.
Okay. So maybe as they start to move, towards Kingston, that's the time to really, the iron might be hot. If they are already doing work, why not, broach it
And that's
then?
the
I
DOT
don't
that's
know.
doing that
I will-
work?
Pardon?
Is that the DOT that's doing that sewer work?
I assume.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Or is it the town?
I
It's
think
not
those
the
are
town.
town roads, I think. I'm not sure, but I'd be happy to draft a short letter that just says, ask the DOT consider doing the same striping that they did at South Road for that crosswalk.
Perfect.
And,
Tim, maybe the letter could just say, this is a follow letter, to, or touching base. We know you've been busy. We know that everybody's thinking about other things, but, we still have patrons going there. Things are starting to open up. We remain concerned and blah, 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 to
Mhm.
say, we haven't forgotten it, so we're still hanging on here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Thank
Now,
you,
does
Tim.
this come from us, from the board, not from all these people?
No, it should be, I think this would just come from us as the
From the
board.
board,
Yeah.
okay.
Now we could
Well,
just get it out and.
Yeah, I'll send you a draft, Hillary and Laurel
Okay.
and everyone else. One, I can send it to everyone else. And be quick.
Great, thank you.
Elizabeth, any public comment?
Or Karen, I don't know, Karen, in our attendance
No
list.
public hearing, no public comment.
Okay.
Just thank you for all you're doing in the libraries. I have also heard so many people say how much they miss going into Kingston, Peaceville, Mattoonic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we miss everybody too. And it is still, and Pam, you could probably attest to this, it is surreal.
It is.
Sometimes when we're just trying to think through things or see things that, you got so used to and you took
Right.
for granted. And
You
now
don't see it. And
Yeah.
the building is just, it's, there's nobody in it. And I mean, we're, some of us are there, but the
Mhm.
public isn't there, and makes you realize how much you miss that,
Right. Or even like being around your coworkers
Yeah.
and having to take a step back.
Right.
Like,
With a mask.
or you get near somebody, you gotta put your mask on, and it's just,
Right.
it is hard. I will say the staff has been amazing through this. It's hard.
I just listened to what you guys have been going through and what you're talking about trying to do by June, whatever that date is I wrote down, 29. And think about the schools. It just blows my mind how the schools can reopen. I mean, to me, it looks really tough what you're going through, a small library. Anyways, I
Yeah.
think it's great. I'm thrilled that you're doing the books again and all that. I think that's great.
And I
Laurel is-
probably, oh, I'm sorry, Pam.
No, I was just going to say, Laurel is right, though. We have an amazing staff. Every single person is just phenomenal. Really, really, really phenomenal with great leadership. So,
So good.
yeah, very lucky.
No, don't get me.
No, we all work really hard too. It doesn't come without a price, you know. There aren't a lot of people. We don't have any wallflowers. Everybody's willing to get in there and dig and do it. And I say that with 100% honesty. And I know Laurel feels the same way.
It's great.
Absolutely.
Just with the enforcement we were talking about and stuff, is there, I'm sure there's like education in libraries as libraries are starting to reopen on like, not that you need to know how to speak to people, but just like conflict resolution.
Yeah.
And I don't know if some of that stuff may be helpful. You know, people are going to be frustrated. Things are just opening up. Everybody's coming from a different place. I don't know, just some
Yeah.
of that stuff for the libraries for education stuff.
And yeah.
As I mentioned, you know, Pam had found some great stuff on empathy in the library, and the staff did this very long, multi-part, how to deal with homeless in the library. Not that that's the same situation, but it does give you the same cues on how to handle people that might, you know, not be in the right
Yes.
frame of mind, you know, in conflict. But we could certainly, you know, hunt more stuff down to help deal with that. And I will give a big shout out to OLIS and OSL have been tremendous on keeping staff informed, making sure that we have the right tools and information. That's another thing I almost forgot to mention, is that we will be getting the OSL network will be getting an app, and so that, you know, you could download an app on your phone and be able to search the catalog or look at
That's
our
great.
calendar, or look at, you know, who's offering this service, that service, hours and everything. And we will also be getting a curbside piece to that, where people could schedule pickups, that type of thing. And we will also be getting, it's called Print. And what that is a mobile printing. So anybody with a device could come up and, you know, beep bop, boop bop, and print something out and have that available. So they don't necessarily need to be like physically in the building. They need to be near the building. I think that's coming down the road, but that is all on the very forward thinking of the OSL network, and OLIS is really working hard to support the library. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we have some good leadership on the state end and also on our network end.
You guys are going to need like a daily meditation with all these new changes. It's like a lot. It's just a lot, like being pulled in so many different directions, all the stuff you haven't done, like thinking of opening the library, and, you know, having people come in and have a new system. It's going to be a lot for the staff.
It is a lot.
You'll laugh,
Yeah.
but I included a mindfulness. Well, we
Yes.
included a mindfulness.
Oh, I think it's great.
You
No,
might
it's
have
good.
to
I
amp
think
that
it's
up a little
great.
bit.
I think it's great. I feel like there's going to be a moment they're going to be like, oh my goodness,
What?
you know? Yes, yes. It's just so much is changing.
It
It
is.
is. And,
Some people will
I
adapt better than
try
others.
to at least we do Zoom staff meetings on, at first, when it first happened, we were doing it every day because, you know, everybody was at home pretty much. So just to touch base, to have, you know, folks not feel disconnected. Now, I had to cut it back just because I needed to focus on some other things, but we meet twice a week now. So, and the last time we met, I told them that you guys were all asking about them when we did our test Zoom. So, and we'll be meeting again probably Thursday or Friday. So I will.
What about cleaning in the library? I mean, you read how these people are doing these deep cleans and then the restrooms. I mean, you can't expect the staff to be doing that all the
No,
time.
and they did do a deep clean right after we closed.
The town did that. the
And
town.
I'm not recommending for the restrooms to be open at this point, only because I believe it's supposed to be clean, you know, after every fifth use or something. And we don't have a custodian on duty.
Right.
So, and people shouldn't be in there that long where they need to use
Right.
the bathroom necessarily, because we're just trying to, you know, get a workflow going. So my recommendation would be the bathrooms are not to avoid that, because
I
that is
agree.
not something that I
Yep.
think staff should have to do.
Be sure
But
to,
staff have been cleaning, you know, cleaning again their stations when we use the break room. We clean the break room, you know, wipe down the table, whatever we've touched. The bathrooms the staff bathroom, we wipe down faucets, door handles. It becomes almost rote now, sadly.
if you close the bathrooms though, be sure to have signs up front to warn people.
Yeah, definitely. Signage
Yeah.
is going to be a huge part of this. And of course, you're always going to have people that don't read it, but it still has to be posted. Even just, they call it, you know, the self-screening, because, you know, we're obviously not going to screen patrons coming in. That would be crazy. But the self-screening side, so technically the public should be doing that. Well, not technically, they should be doing it. And other what do they call them? Attestation signs that say, you know, we are practicing the right guidelines. So
So will it come to a point where there might be a line outside? Someone's going to keep, like at Belmont's, I stand in line to go in Belmont's, you know?
yes,
It's
it could,
Right.
depending on the popularity. I'm hoping
Right.
the system, if everybody, you know, can cooperate and follow, like and I will send out that reservation thing just for you guys to kind of
Yeah, I'm
look
curious.
around and see.
Mhm.
You know, in the message it says, please be prompt, please leave promptly. You know, success of the service depends on your cooperation, because if we don't have that, then, you know, we got to go back to square one.
Right.
Plain and simple. I'm not
Right.
gonna have it be more stressful than it already is.
Right.
All right, so our next meeting is July 14th and at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be another Zoom meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Oh.
moved.
Oh, Mario moved. Okay. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. It's
Thanks,
good to see you all.
Thank
It was nice to see
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Cam, stay on the line.
I will. I'm cool. I'm here.
So what do we do? Just turn off.
You could just, yeah, end is in the bottom right.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
All right. Good night, John Boy.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Good night,
This
John
went
Boy.
great. This went great. Thanks,
That's-
Hillary.
Good night, John Boy. I love that.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You there? That was good.
Not bad.
Yeah, I think it was fabulous. I think it's all good. I think you got a lot of support. We have a lot of support. So I think it's just a matter of just trying to find how it's all going to work.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know?
thank you for your kind words.
Oh, Oh, well, I mean them sincerely, my
I do
God.
find this too, like every once in a while, you just want to lose it.
Oh,
Like,
I was up, well, yeah, there, I was about ready to cry upstairs when Lindsay started talking, but I'm right there with you with it because it is really hard. Even today, like, after the,
sneaks up on you.
yeah, it does sneak up on you because it is hard and it is constantly changing. And it's really nice to have a doctor on the board that sees that,
Mm,
you know, because it is. And I look in people's eyes, like today, Tina, she wanted to stay upstairs because she wants to beat this. She wants to figure out how to do this,
right.
and she doesn't want to go downstairs and sit there all by herself,
Well, I don't blame her.
so but I see it with everybody, like, so yeah, I feel the same way. I could cry on a dime because I want it to go back the way that it was. But on the other hand, this is going to fix some stuff maybe that wasn't working.
Yeah. I don't know what that is yet.
I know. But you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I do. I think it is, I don't know if I'd say caterpillar to butterfly eventually, but let's hope something. It is a metamorphosis.
Well, I think you kind of have to look at it like that because, like you said, like those children's, they're so dynamic. People will figure stuff out. Doesn't mean it's not going to be sad or hard, because we are a family. This is like a family. It really is. It's the way that we work together, and just there's a lot of caring people. So it's hard. It's gonna get harder, and then it's gonna get easier. What really concerns me is all this talk about closing down again.
I know.
Because
I
we
know.
can, you know what I mean? Like we can fix whatever it is. We can make a service. If somebody doesn't like it, what are you gonna do? But to have to go through this all again,
I know it.
I'm like,
I was gonna bring that up, and I think somebody touched on it a little about
Yeah.
coming back in the fall. But yeah, I don't
holy
think
cow!
about
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah.
But
Nope. All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thank you too, and I mean it. We'll get to the other side of this,
Well,
and it's good. It stretches your brain.
I will be in a little later tomorrow,
Yeah.
probably 11-ish.
Yeah, don't sweat it. Whenever you're there.
Hug my dog.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Smelly and hairy and long toenails.
He was a hot mess. He was pretty good. You couldn't hear much in the background, right? He's like,
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I came downstairs because my husband was cooking dinner and everybody was kind of buzzing around, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even think I shouldn't be up there. No, just have a good night. Please don't. I would not armchair quarterback this one at all. I think it was fabulous.
Actually, this was the least stressful of what I thought was going to be the most stressful meeting. Isn't that weird?
I know.
I think everybody just realized now's not the time to throw, well, except for the drive-through, of course, but.
Right. No.
Yeah, now's not the time to spitball too many ideas.
No, it's one idea at a time.
Hand, so. All right.
All right. You have a good night, okay?
You too. Thanks,
and I'll see you
Jen.
tomorrow. You're welcome.
Take care.
You too. Just keep laughing.
I know what are you gonna do.